Now, are you someone who suffers from weak knees or maybe even instability in the knees that actually cause your knees to buckle? And if you are, then this video is for you. In today's video, I wanted to share with you 5 effective exercises that you can use to help strengthen the knees without requiring any heavy weights. Let's get started. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Dr. Mike, and I'm a physical therapist providing tips on how to build strength and longevity with your body. Now, as a physical therapist, one of the common problems that I see people have is weakness or instability in the knees. Now, when we're talking about weakness in the knees, we're primarily talking about weakness in the quadriceps. We know that when we take a look at the knee joint, the knee is surrounded and supported by many of the muscles of the upper and the lower leg. So most specifically, we're talking about the quadriceps, which are in the front of the thigh, the hamstrings, which primarily compose of the back of the thigh, and then we have the lower leg, which is the calf, which is behind the leg, and also in the front and along the sides, which we call more of our tibialis anterior and peroneal muscles, which help support some of the ankle. Now, a lot of the exercises that we're going to focus on, they are going to strengthen all of the muscles around the knee, but they are primarily going to focus on targeting the quadriceps. This is a common muscle that we see get weaker over time, especially because people are just not using that muscle, and they tend to neglect and perform exercises that are training other muscles and not really targeting this large muscle group that can have a great impact on just daily functioning with standing up from various surfaces, stepping on and off a step, and most importantly, just being able to maybe just get up off the ground, because it does require a lot of quadricep strength. So let's get into some of my favorite exercises. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the best part of all these exercises is you can perform them in the comfort of your own home with minimal equipment, and you don't need any heavy weights to truly build strength in the quadricep. Now, the first one I want to start off with, which I think honestly is the most underrated exercises that anyone can perform at any level. So regardless of what age you might be now, everyone should know how to perform the wall sit. And the wall sit primarily is going to be challenging on the quadriceps, specifically because it's requiring all of the muscles of the knee to support you and keep you in this static position. So you're going to perform this. Your feet are going to be about hip width apart, and you're going to be leaning against a pole or a wall, which is going to support your back. And you're going to start off, if you're a beginner, if you're just starting off with this exercise, your hips are going to be actually higher than your knees, because this is going to be easier to begin with. Especially once you start to drop the hips too low, this is going to be a lot more challenging and more demanding on the quadriceps and the hamstrings. And so you're going to start off with your hips above your knees. And what you're doing is you're just trying to stay in this static position without letting your body sag any further down. Now with your hands, we'd like for you to practice just keeping your hands down at your side. I know for some of you this might be very difficult. So you'll see a lot of people starting this exercise and they're supporting themselves by placing their hands on their thighs or even on their waist. But I really want you to challenge yourself by dropping those hands down at the side, trying to work on keeping your torso nice and upright, and just requiring all of the muscles of the legs, specifically the quadriceps and the hamstrings, to really keep you in this nice static position. And you can start off with working on this for 30 seconds at a time, then build up to 45 seconds. And then eventually, when you get strong enough and good enough with this exercise, you can start to focus on maybe 1 or 2 minutes at a time. And you're gonna feel a lot of burn in the quadricep muscle. And this is going to be the first step in helping you regain that strength and control in the quadricep muscle. So the next exercise that is going to help you improve the strength in your knees is by performing a squat exercise. Now, I'm not just talking about any squat exercise, but I'm talking about an heel elevated squat exercise. And most importantly, not just going up and down, but controlling the descent on the way down. This is going to require your quads to work eccentrically. It's going to help stretch the muscle as well as build strength in the muscle as you are lowering down into the squat. Now, when most people squat, they're just going up and down. And sure, this is working the quadricep, but if you really want to challenge them without requiring any heavy weight, you can really stimulate those muscles great by performing an eccentric control on the way down. So you're going really slow with the movement. So you're going to set up with your heels elevated, and you can use some small plates, you can use a few books, whatever you need to do to elevate your heels at least about 1 or 2 inches. And what this is going to require you to do is now your toes are going to be on the ground, and it's going to allow you to not be restricted by any ankle range of motion, and it's going to require your knees to bend a little further when you're squatting down. This is, as a result, going to challenge the quads even more. Now, we didn't just talk about dropping up and down when we squat. Now we're talking about focusing on the eccentric control on the way down. So what this can look like is we can practice some tempo squats, meaning that we're practicing maybe counting to 3 seconds nice and slow as we go down. 1, 2, 3. Then we can pause at the bottom for about 1 second, and then we're going to stand up all the way at the top. Okay? Once again, we can control with a 1 count, 2 count, 3 count. Then we can pause it there for about 1 second, and then we can stand up tall. When you're performing this is going to fatigue the muscles a lot faster. You may be able to perform 8 to 10 repetitions at a time for 3 to 4 sets. And you're going to notice immediately how much burn in the legs and how much harder your quadriceps have to work when you're really focusing on the slow descent and the pausing at the bottom. So the next exercise that we're going to go over, which is probably one of my favorite exercises, specifically because it's helped me get rid of a lot of the knee pain that I dealt with in the past, but this is a reverse Nordic. And so what we're going to be doing is obviously we're going to be kneeling down. Now, some of you, I understand that this is going to be very difficult for you guys. So notice that I do have a soft foam pad underneath to support my knees. And you can also perform this with multiple pillows underneath the knees. And you're not going to have to spend a lot of time here. So you might spend maybe a minute or 2 working on this exercise. And you're going to set up preferably with your hips stacked over the knees. Now you're going to cross your arms when you perform this. And you're going to focus on keeping your body in one straight line. I do this by squeezing my glute muscles and squeezing my abs as I tilt my body backwards just slightly. Now, most of the time when you see people doing this exercise, they have a lot of control in the quadriceps, a lot of flexibility in the quadriceps, and this allows them to go all the way back. Now, most of you are not going to be going all the way back, but even if you're just moving inches backward than where you were from the starting position, you can still have some great benefits from this exercise. As you are leaning your body backwards, it's creating a nice stretch, not only on the quadriceps, but on the hip flexors. But then as you come back, you are now using the quadriceps to pull you back and to really activate those muscles on the front of the thigh, which as a result are really going to help you strengthen those knees and support all of the knee structures. So once again, you'll start with your arms crossed. You're working on keeping your body in a nice straight line. You're focusing on leaning just slightly backward, letting your body kind of hover backward nice and slowly, and then you're going to come back. So I use this kind of as a warm-up before I start doing any sort of exercise, and I like to go nice and slow for about 5 to 8 repetitions where I'm moving back and forth. And you're going to notice over time as you develop more control in the quadriceps and more flexibility, your body is going to be able to move further backward, which is showing you how much improvement that you're making. Now the next exercise we're going to go over is the side lunge. Now, one of the reasons why I love this exercise for strengthening the quadricep muscle is because it can allow you to focus on one leg at a time. So unlike the squat where you're using both legs at the same time, the side lunge will allow you to really focus on shifting your weight to one side and really driving through the ground with one leg to really strengthen the quadricep muscles. So you're going to start off with a wide base of support with your feet slightly turned out, and you're shifting your body to one side. Notice the hips are kind of dropping down and backwards, and my knee is coming over the foot there. Now I'm in front of the rig here, so I can hold on to something for support. If you're at home, you can hold on to the counter or maybe even inside a doorway. But notice as I get better with this exercise, you can start to rely less on your hands and rely more on your leg strength to push through the ground, okay? So as I come down into that, basically it feels like a single leg squat. I'm using my leg drive through the ground, pushing away from the ground, using all of the muscles of the leg to really help push myself away from the ground and stand up all the way at the top. Really focusing on locking out that knee, straightening out that knee at the top, and then shifting your weight to the opposite side there. Now, if you're someone that maybe is afraid of dropping down too low or falling backwards, you can't even perform this exercise with a chair or a stool behind you, so you have a target to reach your hips back to as you're sitting. And then as you get better with this exercise, you can take away the stool or the chair and perform this with simply using no hands and no chair as well. So the last exercise and the most advanced exercise that you can use to help strengthen your knees is the Bulgarian split squat. And the reason why I love this exercise so much, just as the previous exercise, is it allows us to strengthen one leg at a time. Now, most of us have weakness more so on one side than the other. So working on exercises that are unilateral and are training one leg at a time versus both will really allow you to identify any imbalances and weaknesses when comparing both legs at the same time. So you're gonna start off by simply extending one leg out in front of you and kind of shifting your body on that front leg as you pick your leg up behind you on a stool. So your rear foot or your back leg is elevated. Now with my torso, to really get some good quad activation, I'm gonna start off by allowing my hips to drop straight down. Now, if we wanted to incorporate our glutes and our hamstrings, I really can perform this with more of a front trunkling there. But for the purpose of strengthening our quadriceps, we're gonna really force you to keep your torso more upright, which is going to require your quadriceps to work harder as you allow your body to drop down. Then you're gonna push your heel and your foot into the ground, really extending the leg, straightening the knee up at the top, and really feeling a nice good contraction of the quadricep, okay? Once again, you're gonna lower your body down, okay? Trying to keep your torso as upright as possible, and then coming back up all the way at the top, extending your leg. When you're performing this exercise, you can perform this for about 3 sets, 6 to 8 reps on each side. And one thing to keep in mind that people often make a mistake with this exercise is performing this with a very narrow base of support. So when you're performing this, you want to think about still maintaining, just like in a squat, that hip width apart, and make sure that you really separate your feet so that you're not in this straight line, but with a wider base of support, you'll really be able to help control your body as you're lowering down and coming back up with this exercise. Now, those are some of the most effective exercises that I like to use to help reduce pain, improve the stability, and most of all, strengthen your knees. Now, if you found this video helpful, you can support this channel by giving this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification buttons to be up to date on all upcoming videos. In the meantime, if there's any other topics that you'd like for me to cover, please list them in the comment box below. I'll see you in the next one.